everybody, to another exciting episode of ACW Beyond The Yard. I am your host, the Doctor of Backyard Wrestling, Derrick Destroyer. And today, this very episode will be a different episode that you had never seen before, because we have a guest that I thought we all believed we will never, ever see. This guest has held a EBW champion 8 times. He is the current Extreme Champion. He was, in fact, the former MEBW All-American Champion. And he also owns his own podcast called Ranting with Roman. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the great Maximus Roman.
What's up? Nice to be here.
Oh my God, I can't believe you're in this this show. I just want to say thank you, Max, for being on the show.
No problem, man.
Because on the other episode between Matt Thunder, I told him if Maximus Roman is on the show, I would shit my pants. And by God, my pants has already been shit.
I know. I heard what you said, and I was like, well, I guess if the kid's going to shit his pants if I go on it, I better do it.
Looks like this is going to be a slobber knocker. So how you been, Max?
I've been fine. I've been keeping busy with this whole thing that's going on in the world right now. Started my own podcast, started my own Twitter.
That's pretty cool.
Connecting with the fans so that they can stay entertained through this time.
Exactly. I enjoyed your first episode with Matt Thunder. It was pretty good.
Thank you, man. I mean, I really honestly don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I just kind of winged it, and I think it turned out pretty well.
That was pretty good. Hopefully someday I could be featured in your show.
Oh,
that would be pretty good.
For sure. You definitely can.
That would be cool. Derrick and Roman, the talk show or something like that.
Exactly.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be the opposite of what we're doing right now.
Exactly. Just vice versa.
Just today you're asking me the questions.
Right. All right, Max, are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
All right, here we go. What got you into wrestling?
So it's a funny story. I remember, I think it was 2008. I was in my room with my dad, and I don't know, how old would that make me? So I was like, 8 years old, 7 years old. Okay. And I was flipping through channels, and I wound up on Friday Night SmackDown. And I remember seeing somebody take a chair shot straight to the head, and I was like, oh, this is too violent for me. This is too violent for me. But then the next Friday after that, I was like, wait, but I'm kind of interested to see like what that's all about. So then I just watched from there. And funny story, I had no clue that there was any other wrestling than WWE SmackDown. I didn't know Raw was a thing. I didn't know that pay-per-views were a thing. So like they would be advertising a match for Raw, right? And I would have no clue. I would be expecting to see it on SmackDown.
Okay.
Right. So I thought that was funny. But the actual match that got me into wrestling was definitely WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker.
I love that WrestleMania. That was a great WrestleMania.
That's the match that did it.
Nice. I mean, like, that match was so good, they had to have a rematch next WrestleMania.
And that's what really put the streak over. I mean, once he beat Shawn Michaels' career, I mean, that's what made the streak what it was, basically. To me, at least.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty crazy, because, like, a lot of people say they've been a big wrestling fan, or, like, they've been into wrestling, like a few years ago, you know? But it's, at least, I heard it pretty interesting from you, which was pretty good.
My whole life. As long as I can remember, I've been a wrestling fan.
Nice.
So, yeah, the opposite of Thunder, who said he got into wrestling when he was, like, what did he say, like 14 or something like that? Yeah, I'm the opposite. I mean, as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm. Because I started liking wrestling at a really, really young age. And, like,
did you?
Back then, like, yeah, because, like, I used to be violent when I was little. Like, oh, my God. I remember one time it was at my cousin's house, and, like, I was jealous because he got all the presents that he wanted. Some of the stuff that he got was from me, because I told him, hey, you know, it'd be really cool if we got this, we could play it. And when he got the presents, he wouldn't even share it with me. He mostly just store it. And one time I got real pissed, and I kicked his ass, and there was blood all over the cake. And yeah, that was the old me. Right.
Blood?
And all of that was from wrestling, because you know how violent wrestling was back then?
No, I know.
But now they have toned it a bit, but, you know, you can't keep them PG for too long.
Yeah. especially with AEW.
Exactly. They're bringing back professional wrestling, which I like because AEW like does things way better than WWE. No offense.
Oh, for sure. I'm wearing the shirt right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite backyard federation to watch?
So right now, the only thing I really watch is EBW or MEBW because I don't really have the time for anything else. But I mean, I always
Okay.
watch like matches, but like MEBW just because it's always in my feed because they upload almost 3 times a week and because they're all my best
Right.
friends.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that and when I first started watching backyard wrestling, it was KBW.
I love those guys, KBW.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wish those guys were still around. Just think about the crossovers we could have had.
Yeah, they're older and they're doing their own thing. Especially Cage, he's
Yeah.
a pro now, pretty good.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Max, who would you say is the best backyard wrestler of all time besides Matt Thunder?
Matt Demarest,
Mm,
definitely. And that I mean, when you search up backyard wrestling, highlights of that guy
mm,
pop up. So like, I'm trying to fix that. I'm trying to make Maximus Roman pop up when you search backyard wrestling, so then people can
right.
remember my name, just how Matt Demarest's name is remembered, even more than 10 years since he actually competed.
Okay.
So yeah, that's who I would say. Just because I feel like everybody knows his name, no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that you're the top best backyard wrestlers of all time, especially in this era?
I mean, I mean that's hard for me to say for myself. I mean, what would you say to that question?
Well, I would say yeah, because you're an amazing athlete, like a great performer.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But yeah, I just didn't want to say it myself because I don't want to sound too full of myself. But I
Right.
mean, honestly, who has been doing this for as long as I've been doing it, for as consistently as I've been doing it? Please tell me,
Uh-huh.
because it's not Matt Thunder.
Right.
Because Matt Thunder didn't start in 2014 when he was 11 years old. I did, and I've been uploading weekly content, weekly, since 2014. Tally that up, that adds up to 6 years on YouTube altogether. I've basically grown up on this product, this on this platform. Since my first year in middle school, I've been doing this, and now I'm a senior in high school ready to graduate. So if that can put
Wow.
into perspective how long I've been doing this, it just it isn't, you know, nobody can compare to that right now.
Right. Well, I'm not trying to like top you off or anything, but
Oh,
like we all
I'm
like
not saying yeah.
yeah, like because we ACW like we started like in middle school as well. Like when we started, like everybody used to laugh at us and all that. Like, look at these kids; they're just wrestling in the yards.
Right, same with
But
me.
now, yeah, because like I don't get why people like make fun of the stuff we do. Like, okay, we wrestle in our yards and all that. At least we have fun while doing it. We meet new people,
They don't understand, man. They just don't get what we
right?
do. They don't understand.
Exactly. Like it's not my fault I don't watch football, also known as a sports ball.
Right. There's no better way I can describe it than the way Tommy Gunn did at Worlds Collide 3. At the end of me and Matt Thunder's match, he gave a great speech that I don't think will ever be topped, at least on the EBW channel, where he said we
Mm-hmm.
use our bodies. We're a bunch of people that come together and create friendships and use our bodies to tell amazing stories. And I thought
Exactly.
that was a great way of putting it.
Because like if you think about it, like backyard wrestling is a sport that doesn't have off season.
Right. No off season. Professional wrestling is a sport that has no off season.
True.
Yeah, and nobody respects professional wrestling as they should.
Right. Like they talk about bad crap, but like they're risking the bodies, one, so they can entertain the fans, and two, for the sport.
Exactly. Well, it can mostly be blamed on WWE and all the funny stuff like they do, like Santino Marella and stuff that's easy to be
Right.
made fun of. If they took a more sports approach like AEW, maybe we wouldn't be dealing with all these people saying that it's such a joke.
Exactly. Like I love WWE from like the bottom of my heart, but like there's some things that just pisses me off.
Agreed.
Like, sure, they might have had some terrible booking, especially back then when with Vince Russo, which ruined WCW. I love WCW, even though I never grew up watching it. Like, there was like some good content.
Yeah. But WCW was just a bunch of WWE like spin-offs. I mean, that's why AEW
Right,
is much better because it's like new people from the indies.
right, and I heard that AEW learned from WCW's mistake,
Oh, you could definitely tell.
like the improvements and all that. Sure, they might use old talent, but like those old talents in wrestling, they're just there for, for story.
Right, but they actually use those talents in a good way. As WWE would just send them
Exactly.
out there to get squashed.
Yeah, especially if it's new talent, like they put as a jobber. Like I think it's what Ricochet. He works main event now.
That's that's a joke, man.
Finn Balor. He used to be Universal Champion, but now he went back to NXT. It's not bad, but I mean he was good in the main roster at the early.
Misused.
Right.
Yeah, they should just let Maximus Roman book, just like how he books EBW.
Right. Just think about the good content we could have had.
I would do a better job.
Right. If you make Maximus Roman book WWE for a month, the ratings will be so high that you might have to keep Maximus Roman forever.
Right, right. But I'm not sure how much of my stuff would even stay because I know Vince likes to change the stuff on people.
Yeah, he likes to change it. Then once he has a good idea, which is nah, he'll be like, "Oh, that's some such as good shit," or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But I heard that AEW doesn't have a lot of bookers, right? Or not bookers at all.
The wrestlers or the bookers is the gimmick that they're throwing
Oh,
around.
okay. Which is pretty good because they could tell their story. Because like in WWE, like someone's telling the story, not the wrestler. Someone. Oh,
Oh,
Vince.
exactly. Well, it's a good example in EBW. I like to let the guys do whatever they want, but I send them in there with a good idea of what they should do, and then they can play
Mm-hmm.
their own music when they're back there doing their thing to tell their own story. Like Damian Van Diemen, for example. He's a big car guy, right? And now you see him entering in cars in almost every episode. That's his thing, and that's what he wanted to
Nice.
do. And now I think we got it over. So fans can expect to see Damien in a new car like every time he shows up,
Nice.
right?
Yeah. Anyways, Max, what would you say was the worst injury you ever had while wrestling?
I can be lucky to say that I haven't really been injured. I just got
Uh,
a few little minor
Bruises?
things that no,
Okay.
not well, more than that. So I'll list them. I'll list some for you. So
All right, go ahead.
back when we first started using ladders in 2014, we had a ladder match for the world title. And I remember the ladder was on its side because it was standing, but then landed on its side, right? So imagine a ladder on its side,
Okay.
still opened. So there was
Okay,
an
okay.
opponent on the other side. So I tried to jump off of the ladder while it was on its side, but the ladder obviously wasn't sturdy because it was on its side. So then the ladder, it like, I jumped off the one side of it. So then the other side, since it was folded open, if that makes any sense, the other one hit
Okay.
me in the knee as I springboarded off of the other side, if that makes any sense.
Uh-huh. And that's on YouTube,
So
right? Or no?
no, because if I don't know if you know, but the old EBW channel was
Oh, yeah, the
deleted.
old content. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember. My
so
bad.
half of my whole career is not on YouTube.
Damn.
Yeah,
I could
so
relate.
anyway, yeah, that's terrible. And so there was that injury, which wasn't bad. I think I just hyperextended my knee. It just hurt for
Mm-hmm.
like a week. I iced it every day. And then let's think. I know most recently in the Bloodthirsty 2020 match, you saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw it. It was a good match.
Executioner kneed me straight in the face and chipped my tooth.
Damn.
Yeah, and then that was at the end. That was at the finish. You know the finish where it was a German suplex, dragon suplex, discus max factor through the table.
Uh-huh.
Well, you could see how pissed I get right after I stand up because he kneed me in the face, chipped my tooth, and then I spit out half of my tooth. And then I was like, "Oh, you're dead." So I German suplexed him, and then I boom Max Factor through the table. So I guess you can call that an
Right.
injury. Just chipped my tooth. And then there was a kayfabe storyline where I broke my arm in EBW. I don't know if you've ever saw that, but I had a match in a cast, right? And that was supposed to be because Logan Cross broke my arm, but I actually broke my wrist snowboarding, but then I just decided to do a match in my cast, which I definitely shouldn't
Okay.
have done. So I had a full-on wrestling match with a broken wrist.
Damn.
Yeah. So I mean that wasn't an injury while wrestling, but I was injured while I was wrestling. I was just crazy enough because I wanted to wrestle in a cast.
Nice.
So yeah, besides that, I mean that's the only injuries I can think of, unless I'm missing some, which I definitely am. Something else definitely happened. Oh, I
I
hurt my wrist
remember.
doing a backflip off of a wall one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I just can't. Because you heard about my injury, right?
Remind me.
All right. Well, this was supposed to air on JNA. You know JNA Wrestling?
Yep.
Well, I was having a match with Jake Frost, and too bad it would never air because of my injury. Anyways, man, we were just like 7 minutes in the match. Like me and Jake were going at it. There's a one point where Jake has me in an armbar, and like I was supposed to pin him, but like I had an idea. What if I deathlift powerbomb? And like I have managed to do that before in ACW with my friend Sean Double Michael. He's like what 172 pounds if I'm correct. Jake is like 180, and I didn't know because he looked a bit light. Anyways, when I tried to deathlift him, I was halfway, and I was kind of falling off balance. So I tried to use my left foot for some leverage or grip. And the moment I step on the mattress, not a mattress, but the mat on the trampoline, it just dislocates, and I just go crashing down.
You dislocated your knee?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. Luckily, like thank God, I didn't need any surgery whatsoever. But
Yeah, you're
that
lucky.
was just nasty.
You're
Just
lucky,
think
man.
if I tore my ACL, like what a
Surgery.
long break I could have had.
Yeah, you'd need surgery.
Right. But yeah, that was the worst injury I ever had in wrestling. Because one time, me and Michael, we were like having a dark match, and he gave me his German suplex, and he lifted me up so high with so much strength that I went flying, and my left eyebrow hit the metal of the trampoline,
Busted you open.
and almost yeah, I almost lost my eye.
Did you?
Yeah, like it was like what 3 centimeters off the eye.
You're lucky.
I know. Just imagine Derrick Destroyer walking around with one eye. I could have a pirate gimmick.
Oh,
Arr.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my injury that I had in backyard wrestling.
Yeah, I can't say I've been injured like that. Thank God.
hmm I mean, like no one wants to get injured,
Yeah, I mean we keep it kind of safe at EBW,
right?
but not too safe. I mean, if you saw that bloodthirsty match, you know that is pretty risky.
Right. hmm I mean, you know what they say: sacrifice, victory cannot be achieved without sacrifice.
Great quote.
It is. Anyways, Max, what would you say would be your dream match in the yards?
A dream match in the yard. Let's see. Maximus Roman versus Cameron Jackson's a pretty good dream match,
That would be a pretty good match to see.
and it's pretty realistic.
hmm
I know he's heard of me because when I versed Victor Van Pelt, I know he's good friends with Cameron Jackson, and I know Victor Van Pelt told me that he heard about me. So you never know what's gonna happen. Maybe he'll man up and face me.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, that match or Maximus Roman versus Matt Demarest, which is
That
also
also
realistic.
that is also a good match.
I
I would
had
love to see.
yeah. I'm not gonna say anything else, but it could be realistic.
hmm I don't know if this could still work because of the virus going around, but what was your original plans for 2020?
Um, so we still have our 2020 plans intact, but we had some plans that came about like a month ago that have been derailed that I can't say because they'll just be rescheduled, and I don't want to spoil anything because if anybody watches EBW, it might happen down the road.
Right.
But let's just say it had something to do with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, our biggest show.
Okay.
It just had to be rebooked. But it's good because what storyline we have going on right now, if you watch EBW, is going to play out really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really speak too much on that, but just know we had something planned and it's gonna be rescheduled and it's still gonna go up on the channel and everybody's gonna love it.
That's good to hear. I'm just glad like some people have like they're still working on their plans, their original plans. They just had to work around it a bit, but they're still gonna try to pull it off, you know?
Yeah, we still have our real plans going.
Nice.
Just except for the one storyline that I wanted to do. We're just gonna have to do it
Okay.
later on in the year.
All right. What's your thoughts on MEBW?
I respect the hell out of them. I know how hard Zach works, which for you, if you don't know, Zach is Matt Thunder. I know
Yeah, I
how
know that,
hard.
dude.
Yep, Zach is one of my best friends, and he deserves everything. The way that he edits, the way that he books, the way that he wrestles, it's
Mm-hmm.
great. He's like a one man show,
Right.
almost like myself. But yeah, and their roster is just filled with guys that can go. I don't know if you saw when I went over there to wrestle, but I
Yeah,
wrestled
I seen a couple of your matches.
I wrestled their whole roster in 24 hours, and they were all giving me hell, which is good. I mean, they shouldn't pass up the opportunity to have a match with me, and none of them did. They all seized the moment.
Okay.
So I have the highest respect for MEBW, especially the quality of
Nice.
show that they put on weekly.
Right. Because they produce 3 times a week, if I'm correct.
Yeah, 3 times, but the third is the pay-per-view, so they don't have pay-per-views every week.
Oh, okay, so it's 2 times. Okay.
Yeah, Onslaught and Assault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that not that I'm on their product now, but I would say that I'm an MEBW guy just as much as I'm an EBW guy.
Would you say you're a part timer for MEBW?
I guess you could say I'm a part-timer for MEBW. It's if they live closer, I would be full-time for MEBW and EBW if I could do that, but
Nice.
part-time just because the distance. They're in Michigan, I'm in
Right.
New Jersey. It's hard to do. But
How
when I
far is that?
couple like what, I don't know. We put it in the Worlds Collide. It's like a couple hundred miles. I don't know.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's a good plane ride. A good hour or two plane ride.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How did you feel on your first ever crossover?
So the first ever crossover was me versus Matt Thunder, Worlds Collide 1. I don't know. I really had nothing. I had no prior knowledge because I never did another crossover. So I just
Mm-hmm.
went into it thinking it was just another match because I've been wrestling for years, so I didn't really get too scared about it, but I went into it knowing I had to put my best foot forward and I just put my best performance out and I think I gave that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Would you say that match? I mean, would you say Matt Thunder versus Maximus Roman feud was like what the backyard wrestling version of Stone Cold versus Rock?
You could say that. I mean, what other rivalry is like that? AK-47 versus Cage?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I feel like other backyarders, they don't really tell story like MEBW and EBW does. Like we have
Mm-hmm.
a continuous what can I say? A mythology almost, you know,
Okay.
like a complete storyline. Like if you watch my character from 2014 to now, there's definitely a progression and it's definitely the same guy. I feel like some guys
Mm-hmm.
just go out there just to wrestle a match as
Right.
where
Like.
we go out there to tell a story. That's our main thing. Obviously the performance is you know up there too, but we really want to tell stories with EBW just like we do in the movies. Like what other wrestling fed makes movies like we do?
Uh, I was gonna say something, but no, you go right ahead. Right. You're right.
Exactly. So I think EBW is different in the sense of we're not traditional backyard wrestling, jumping off of roofs, doing a swanton off of a shed, going through a flaming table with tacks underneath that, and then light tubes, you know,
Right.
barbed wire, you name it. That's just not what we're about. Sure, we can put on a match like that, as I've done in the past at multiple bloodthirsties, but what's the fun in killing ourselves with thumbtacks and barbed wire and light tubes? That's not going to preserve my
Hmm.
body for when I go pro. That's not going to
Exactly.
that's not going to really bring an audience because some people don't like the gore. It that's just really narrow-minded, and I try and avoid
Hmm.
that. That only really caters to a certain audience, and it's a very slim audience. Now, I would
Okay.
love to reach that audience, which I try to do in these bloodthirsty matches, in these Extreme Rules matches, but I
All
also
right.
want to reach a wider audience to where I can give them a story and they can sink their teeth into the story for a number of months on the EBW channel and be entertained every Friday.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
my MO.
I hear you, because like you're right. Like back then, like when backyard wrestling was like brand new, like it was like hardcore to hell. Like it was extreme.
Right, yeah, that's all it was. It was all bark, no bite. They could do the performance, but there was really little to no story. Now I'm not burying those guys. They put out tremendous sacrifice, but I just think wrestling is a lot more than just two guys out there punching the shit out of each other and beating the hell out of each other. It's supposed to
Right.
be a story. And I think I acquired this thought process because I got onto wrestling watching Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, like I said earlier. That is one of
Okay.
the greatest storylines in wrestling history. Not only do they tell the story with their words, but without any words. If you watch the match, you can see how hard Shawn is trying to win, beat the streak, and how much Undertaker wants to end the career of Shawn Michaels.
Right.
So it's wrestling means a lot to me, and I hate when people just like to go out there and beat the shit out of each other and call that wrestling.
Right. Because like if you think about it, wrestling is storytelling, a bit of Shakespeare, you might say.
That's exactly what it is.
I swear, if Shakespeare was still alive, he would have been telling wrestling stories.
He would have been a professional wrestler.
Right. Just think of all the stories, the matches, the performance he could have had.
Exactly, man. That's why it's the most unique thing on this planet Earth.
Right. Like back then, like just like how you said earlier, like back then, backyard wrestling was violent, but like since the creation of YouTube, like many channels have like risen the population. Like KBW, for example, like they made backyard wrestling how it is today.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
We are the
why
ones that are carrying that on.
agreed. But I'm start. I have this certain way of thinking that it's called YouTube wrestling nowadays. It's YouTube
Okay.
wrestling because we can do things that those guys in 2001, 2002, in the 1990s couldn't do, where we
Okay.
can upload vignettes, like little things. We can
Mm-hmm.
use social media to hint at things. We can use our platforms across all social medias to tell our stories and put out a quality of content that they couldn't do. That's why
Okay.
I like the term backyard wrestling, but I feel as though the term backyard wrestling is outdated
Right.
because you see guys doing this shit in a basement. Like
Mm-hmm.
EBW did it in the basement when we had bad snowstorms and shit like
Right.
that. And people like to say that we're unprofessional and that it was childish, which I agree with. I mean, if I saw a bunch of kids wrestling in a basement on a carpet, I wouldn't really like that. But let me tell you right now, my basement is not padded at all. That's like concrete underneath the carpet. So there's that out of the
Okay.
way. But yeah, what my point is, backyard wrestling is an outdated term. We could do this anywhere, in a ring, in a building, at a venue. Eh,
Doesn't
It's you
matter.
no, it's YouTube wrestling. We're telling a story
Okay.
using wrestling. It doesn't matter if it's in a backyard. It doesn't matter if it's in a basement. It doesn't matter if it's in a building, in a ring. It doesn't matter where we do it. It's still wrestling. It's on YouTube, right? That's where we put it out.
Yes,
We don't sell DVDs. This is YouTube wrestling, man.
I agree with you. So
And
you would
yeah,
say we are in the YouTube era?
that's what it is. Where else could we put this out at? Sure, we could have audiences come and we can make them pay $2 to come into our yard and watch. And yeah, it's backyard wrestling, but if you want to reach an audience and you want to reach people across the world, you put it on YouTube, right?
Right.
You can't argue that fact. So that's why I think I call it YouTube wrestling. Like I'll be in group chats and people say, "Oh, we're gonna have a great backyard wrestling show," or we can't even call it a backyard wrestling show because we have indie guys on it. Okay, man, then just call it YouTube wrestling. That's what it is.
That makes sense.
I don't know if you've ever heard that from anybody else or if I'm the one starting this whole trend, but it's really just YouTube wrestling.
Maybe just not a lot of guys ever like said that phrase before, you know?
Well, let me be the first to tell everybody watching that it's called YouTube wrestling, guys. Everybody that does it now,
Hashtag YouTube wrestling.
we do it on YouTube. MEBW and EBW are two great examples. We post on our social medias and we tell people to go to YouTube and watch our show premiere live on YouTube. We're not telling them to
Right.
go anywhere else but YouTube. Sure, we do it in a yard, but since backyard wrestling is looked down upon by pros, let's just call it YouTube wrestling. I mean, that's a new term. They can't bury
Mm-hmm.
that, you know?
Right. Like that was a great statement you just stated right there.
Thank
I
you.
just hope YouTube wrestling, hashtag YouTube wrestling, spreads around the world.
I hope but do you agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you. Like I'm sure a lot of people agree with you as well.
I mean, yeah, leave it in the comments below, guys. What do you guys think? I honestly, truly think backyard wrestling is an outdated term.
It is.
I don't know if I'm the first to say that, but I really do believe that.
Yeah, I hope it spreads on.
Yeah, well, this could be the
All
equivalent
right.
of me shutting down the WWF and making it the WWE. So,
Okay.
if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, it does a bit. All
Backyard
right, Max, are
wrestling,
you ready for a
yeah.
personal? Are you
Sure,
ready for a
personal
personal
question.
question? All right. Why did you become a backyard wrestler?
That's a great question. I don't even know. The way that I started on YouTube was funny. I mean, I just had a friend. He said, "Do you want to wrestle in the yard?" Like, just it was a summer day, and we would record it, and then he put it on YouTube, and that's just how it started. I didn't ever set out to be a famous backyard wrestler, but I obviously did have
Okay.
influence from KBW, and I definitely
Mm-hmm.
saw how successful they were, and I definitely wanted to be like Cage. So, if anything, you can say it's because of KBW.
Right. And when you first started, like in your early days, like what was going on through your mind? Like did you start liking it or what?
Oh, I always liked it. It's just a matter of doing it properly. Like back then, we weren't
Right.
taking actual bumps, so it looked like crap, and it was crap. I mean, we
I mean,
weren't.
that's how everybody was.
Yeah, yeah. So it is what it is.
All right. Here comes a follow up question. What if you never became a wrestler?
Then I would have a boring ass life. If I wasn't a
Don't we
backyard,
all?
yeah, if I wasn't a backyard wrestler, I don't know what I would be doing. I guess I would be trying to make movies, which I am doing still. So it's the best
I
of
don't know if
both
I'm supposed
worlds.
to say this. Right. I'm not supposed to say this, but what if I was telling you that ACW Productions is starting to make a movie, like a backyard wrestling movie?
Like what? Like a documentary or like a Death or Silence horror movie type action thing?
No, no, no. Like it wouldn't be horror or anything. Like I would say like a bit of Rocky, but like with backyard wrestling. Let's say that.
That's interesting. I'd like to see it.
Right. maybe after this interview, I'll show you the plot, and you tell me what you think of it.
Just know that you have to take your time and you have to get the right soundtrack, because if you don't have the right soundtrack, the movie tone won't be there. I learned that by making my
Right.
movies.
Okay. Because the soundtrack has to make sense, especially in video games.
Definitely. And write out a script. Definitely write out a script.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How was the Death or Silence? How did that started?
So let's see. I started becoming a horror fan in my teenage years, I guess you could say. So I didn't like horror movies when I was little, but then I started watching
Okay.
Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and stuff like
Right.
that when I got older, like 16. So I really liked the genre, and then Matt Hardy released The Final Deletion. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
And that was revolutionary because people were saying it's like a movie, but it's using wrestling. So I was like,
Okay.
well, damn, I have a creepy character with the Reaper and the Silenced One, if you're familiar with that. So
Yeah.
why can't I do it? And I live right in front of a big neck of woods, so why can't we do it? So then I was like, we're gonna
Okay.
do it. So if you ever go back and watch Death or Silence Chapter 1, it was definitely more like The Final Deletion, as where uh, there was no dialogue or no character development. It was more like
Mm-hmm.
wrestling, like a match,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to what it's become now, like Chapter 3. Have you seen Chapter
Mm-hmm.
3?
Yeah.
To where
I was
there's
pretty shocked at the end, but yeah.
yeah, dude, that you haven't seen the half of it.
Okay.
There's gonna be more, just like that, but better. But
Okay.
yeah, it definitely transformed to have dialogue and to become an actual movie. So
Nice.
yeah, so it came from being inspired by Matt Hardy's Final Deletion, to answer your question.
I really like your Death or Silence series. It's pretty good. I just can't wait for what you said. You're still working on it.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Um, I mean, this isn't a secret. I'll just go right out and say it. I'm writing
Right.
I'm writing more scripts, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have one completed script, and I'm working on a follow-up to that movie. So there's two movies in the works right now.
Okay. Nice.
So it's funny because Death or Silence right now, as it is three chapters, right? Chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter
Right.
3. But with chapter 3, it's unique as to where it's not parts, right? Like you saw chapters 1 and 2, right? You know
Yes.
how they're released in like three different parts?
Yeah.
Well, chapter 3 was different, as where we put all those three parts together and made one complete film.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I've been thinking about it these past months as I've been writing to follow up that story, I've been thinking chapter 3 is the uniting piece. It unites chapters 1 and 2 with the two that are going to follow it. So right now we
Okay.
have a trilogy that is just finding its footwork. You can watch chapters
Okay.
1 and 2 and it makes sense, but the story wasn't told as perfectly as it could. So we're using chapters 1 and 2 as canon, but we're
Mm-hmm.
retelling it in the next two movies that are going to come out, if that makes any sense to you.
Like I want to say remaking it reboot, but like you're just gonna like make reference to it.
Right. Exactly. It's definitely not remaking it. We've we've created this universe, wouldn't you say, with the Death or Silence?
Yeah, you could say that.
Right. It's like its own universe where it's got a really dark and gritty feel to it, and I think it's a great universe, and we definitely don't want to start over, especially chapter 3, which
Mm-hmm.
was such a hit with the fans.
It was.
So, with that cliffhanger ending, what better way than to follow it up with two more movies?
That would be actually pretty good.
It's gonna be great. I have the finalized script. Um, I won't release the title yet. Maybe if we do another one of these podcasts, I will. But
Yeah, I can't wait to see that happening.
yeah, just expect a release date in September, October.
All right, we'll do. And um, I felt like you guys had fun shooting it, filming the movie
Oh,
or the
it
series.
was fun, but it was really, really stressful.
Okay.
Like some of those scenes in the woods, we were out in those woods till 1 a.m. and our parents would be texting
Yeah, I
us
heard.
like, where were you? Where were you? Blah blah. Like we're just filming the movie. Like, but you were out in the woods till 1 a.m. That's not safe. But hey, we did it and we enjoyed it. But it was also a learning
Nice.
experience for chapter 3 because we started filming that movie without a finalized script.
Okay.
So that plot twist at the end, you know which one I'm referring to, right?
Was improv. It was improv. Uh-huh.
Uh, it was somewhat planned, but that's yeah, it I guess you could say improv, yeah.
Okay.
But it definitely pays off because as you can see now in EBW, if you watch, Reaper is still the leader, and now there's a little bit of dysfunction in the Silenced Era.
Okay.
So yeah, that this is EBW's long-term booking, man. This storyline now is gonna take us all the way till October, December, January of next year, and it's gonna be one complete story. So you better get on the bandwagon now because once the movie releases, it's gonna be a big payoff.
It will indeed. Would you say that EBW and Death or Silent are in the same universe? Like it's not an Ultra universe or anything
I'm
like
happy
that?
you asked me this question actually. Um, the way I look at it is EBW is in the same universe as the Death or Silence series, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
Right.
the Death or Silence series is in a distant parallel universe to EBW.
Okay.
As me and Colin don't refer to, you know, EBW anymore as of
Mm-hmm.
chapter 3. In chapter 2 we referred to EBW, but when chapter 3 came along, it was the game changer. And I wanted to start making legit movies, so I didn't want to reference wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch EBW and you watch the movies, you get double the satisfaction because you know these characters: Maximus Roman, Colin Roman, the Executioner, Reaper, Jay Creed, Logan
Right.
Cross. So it's double the payoff, and it pays off in EBW because EBW references Death or Silence. Instead, we call it the Death
Okay.
or Silence incident. Have you ever heard of that?
I think so. Not 100% sure, but
Yeah.
yeah, heard something like that.
Well, we refer to it as if it was a real thing that happened, like my brother was actually kidnapped in real life. So we call it the Death or Silence
Mm-hmm.
incident. But
Okay.
if you are a rando and you just decide to click on Death or Silence chapter 3, you can hopefully you can watch that from start to finish, understand who the characters are, what their motives are without watching EBW.
Okay.
So you can watch EBW and watch Death or Silence, and you can watch that as like a parallel universe, or you can not be a wrestling fan and you can watch Death or Silence and just enjoy that primarily.
Right.
So it's uh it's really cool how that works, wouldn't you say? You can watch it from one
Yeah, that's actually pretty
you
cool.
can watch it from one point of view as you're just a regular movie fan of horror, or you can watch it from a wrestling fan and a horror fan, and you get double the satisfaction because you've been following these characters, and you know this movie's gonna
Right.
pay off in EBW as well.
Uh-huh. Well, that's actually pretty cool though. Like, because I kind of had an idea, and I was telling some of the ACW guys, but like, we kind of want to do something similar to yours, but like, it's not like gonna be like horror or anything like that. It's just gonna be like the rivalry continues. Like, it's not just gonna be for like in the yards.
No, I
Like,
I, I kind of get what you're
it's
saying.
kind of hard to. Okay, it's like the characters. Oh crap! Like in real life, if that makes
No,
sense.
dude, I get what you're saying. That sounds really cool.
Okay, good.
That sounds cool.
Right.
Like following
Like
them
it's gonna be
outside of
yes.
wrestling, why they hate each other outside of wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Then there was one part. What's oh crap? It's kind of similar to The Walking Dead, but like it's not about The Walking Dead. It's just about like because you've seen The Walking Dead, right?
Oh, I know you're a big fan of The Walking Dead.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I kind of got an idea from it, but it actually didn't work out. I was planning it, but like, you know, we just have to continue it. You know?
Don't put yourself in a situation that you can't pay off. Like, don't start a Walking Dead series and have a couple cool
Uh huh.
zombies, but then once you get 5 episodes in and you can't keep up with the production quality of like the makeup for the zombies and stuff.
No, like it's not gonna have zombies at all.
Well,
Like,
same thing.
no, I hear you. I hear you.
Like, don't start what you can't pay off because you can start like
Right.
I found this out with the Death of Silence. Like, we started off with Colin getting all bloody, right? And then by the end of the movie,
Okay.
he's like totally unscathed. Like, because it took over 2 months to film the movie, so it's hard to get him exactly right without professional makeup people.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I hear you. Just don't worry. Like, I'll find a way to make it up. Just leave that to me.
gotcha.
And how does your podcast? How is that going?
Um,
Ranting with Roman.
I have two. I have two already made. One that's been released as of now. I did the one with Matt Thunder that was released yesterday, exactly 1 year to the day of our Great War match. And I did
Nice.
one with Jay Creed talking about when he found out about EBW in real life, when he decided he wanted to join, and how his run has been.
Nice.
Yeah, and I give
If
a
you guys haven't checked out his podcast, the link would be down in the description. So
I appreciate that,
there
man.
you
I
go, Max. You got a new
appreciate that.
follower,
Thank you.
as you were saying.
Yeah, I'm really trying to grow that channel because I'm gonna start putting like reviews for wrestling shows on there. I have a bunch of
Uh huh.
podcasts lined up with the likes of Dak Ryan, Tommy Gunn, Jack Delta. Um, I'm actually working to get.
Forgetting about
Yeah,
me?
well, you're gonna be on there, but you already knew that. I'm trying to give you an inside scoop.
No, no, no. I hear. Yeah. I was just having
Yeah, I
fun.
get you. I'm gonna try and get Chris Storm on there.
Funny that you mentioned that. Somebody recommended me to have him on the show, and I would love to have Chris Storm
Um, he's gonna be hard to probably talk to.
communicate.
He's gonna be if
Okay.
you don't already know him. So yeah,
Yeah,
I I,
I
I
hear you,
have his
man.
number. So
I would appreciate it.
yeah, I mean I
Yeah.
can hook you up,
I
man.
just hope he doesn't hear this. Yeah, thanks, man. All right, Max. What is one thing you could change about backyard wrestling? Well, I
Um,
think you already stated that, right? Because of the YouTube wrestling.
yeah, but I can I guess I can elaborate. Yeah,
All
I
right.
will elaborate.
Let's see what you got.
I will elaborate. So, being on YouTube for 6 years doing backyard wrestling, I have met a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I have met some good people, MEBW, you, but I've met some assholes. Assholes
Damn.
that I'm not going to mention because bad publicity is still publicity, and I do believe in that. So, I'm
Okay.
not going to say their names. Zach definitely knows who I'm talking
Okay.
about. But these group of people, they need to be more kind and more respectable because backyard wrestling doesn't belong to anybody. It belongs to everybody.
Right. Wrestling is for everyone. Like no one owns it.
And since I deemed backyard wrestling an outdated term, I'm gonna start saying YouTube wrestling from here on out. YouTube wrestling
Right.
is for everybody, and if you want to have your own show and call it whatever, it's fine. If you want to try and book other guys from other feds, do it. Just do it in a respectable manner. Don't be an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be an asshole. Don't think you're better than anybody else because that will only bite you in the ass later. So then people like me can get on a podcast and talk down on you.
Right.
Just be friendly, be kind, don't be an asshole, and don't think you're the shit. Because no matter how many 5-star matches you've had, it doesn't matter. Because the person you are outside of wrestling is the person you have to live with in the mirror.
Exactly.
So yeah, also um try how do I put this? Try to use your resources wisely. I'm talking to you, Derek, right now, and you
All right, go
and
ahead.
you you reached out to me on Instagram. That's a good idea. That is a
Okay.
great idea. So other people like Derek that want to get out there, I know I was where you were. I know exactly how it is to try and get a bigger audience. Try and use social media. I
Right.
have Twitter now. I have Instagram now because using these social medias, you can grow your platform. And not only that, but to grow your audience, you're going to have to upload constantly. So, weekly uploading. Get on a schedule and stick with that schedule.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my words of wisdom.
Those were some good word of wisdoms.
Thank you.
Because like I hear you. Like there's a lot of people that think they're this and that, but like are they actually? Because like if you actually seen their work, like there's one wrestler. I'm not gonna say his name or anything, but I think people already know him. Like they tried to call out Matt Thunder.
I don't
He was saying that he's the best in the yard and all that. He even copied his nickname on Instagram one time.
I don't like people like that.
Right. Because like it's not good to like copy someone else's work. Like it's better if you get your own work, work your ass off, so it could pay off.
Inspiration is one thing, copying is another.
Right.
Yeah,
Who would you say was the best wrestler you ever worked with?
Matt Thunder, hands down.
Right. Because I don't think like there's anyone that could top
Matt
that.
Thunder, James Fury.
Those are good
I
wrestlers.
would say one of my wrestlers, but I trained them from the ground up, so I know what they were like before they were good. So it would be kind of counterintuitive to say that it was one of my guys, right?
Okay.
So like if that makes any sense, like I knew what they were like when they first started. So it's not like I
Uh
can
huh.
say like, "Oh, well, if we're talking about Reaper nowadays, he's the best." But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but Reaper's pretty good. I'm not going to take that away from him.
I hear you.
Yeah, but it took a while to get there.
Okay.
As it
If you could join any other federation in backyard wrestling, who would it be and why?
I feel like I sound like a broken record. Um MEBW just because they're so similar to EBW and I have a relationship with them.
Right.
But if I want to step outside my comfort zone and I want to try and change backyard wrestling, I would want to go on to VTW if they were still around, KBW
Oh
if they were still
yes.
around, NUW, which I've just now started contacting with,
Okay.
just because I want them to get in the feel of YouTube wrestling. Stop trying to act like you are
Right.
a promoter and you're gonna book all these great matches. It's YouTube wrestling. You are catering to the audience. So get a real professional camera, get a cameraman, get a commentator solely, and just do your thing, man. Just do what you love to do, but just
Mm-hmm.
gear it towards the right audience. If you want to get bigger, reach out to the YouTube audience because that's an endless audience that will keep growing exponentially unless for some reason Google shuts down YouTube.
Right. And therefore, like, I don't think YouTube will ever like stop
It,
until Google, of course. But
exactly.
right.
So if YouTube never stops, backyard wrestling never has to stop. But the only
Exactly.
way that it stops is if assholes like I just talked about ruin it and take it away from the people that love it, like me and you.
Right.
So,
Because like I don't see backyard wrestling like sure it's a sport, but I see it as a passion.
right. And I think got to get your priorities straight. Have a schedule to upload.
Mm-hmm.
Have consistent characters. Don't make it a joke because if you make it a joke and you don't take it seriously, then nobody will take it seriously. If you don't take what you're doing seriously,
Right.
then why would anybody else?
Exactly.
So yeah, don't ruin it for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Would you say you and Thunder shared great chemistry in the yards?
Yeah, for whatever reason, we did. I don't know what it was, but we did. When me and him locked up, I felt something good, and then when me and Chris Storm locked up, I felt something bad. Like, I
Nice.
thought I was gonna.
Because you.
What were you saying?
Oh, you go. My bad. You go.
When I first fought Chris Storm, I expected an experience like I did with Matt Thunder, where I would get in there and I would know what he was doing before he would do it. But then I got in there and this
Okay.
guy's fucking loose cannon and he's fucking kneeing me for real, and the way he locks out, I don't want to diss him, but it could go for anybody. No, it's just me and Matt Thunder, best chemistry.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't want to bury anybody.
I'm sure like there's okay, because I know like there's other wrestlers that kind of have the you and Thunder similarities. Like there's some other federations. I don't know if you heard about CMW from
I
Australia.
did.
Like those guys like share great chemistry in the
And
yards.
that's a great thing that you can't replicate.
Right.
I believe you can grow chemistry though.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think me and Reaper didn't have chemistry when we first started. But then after
Okay.
6 years of fighting each other constantly, I grow to know what he's gonna do before he does it.
Exactly. Like you can make it smooth and all.
Exactly, and smoothness is the best. I think other backyard wrestlers need to start focusing on smoothness rather than extremeness, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. Because like a lot of people try to be extreme because of the views and all that, but it's actually the content.
Like I said,
like quality over quantity.
Yeah, quality over quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Don't hit somebody over the head with a cheese grater, for real. It's
Mm-hmm.
only gonna make you look like an asshole. Sure, you can use it as clickbait, and sure, you might get views, but then what are you gonna do after that when people tune in next week, right? Hit a guy with another cheese grater?
How are you gonna top
Exactly.
it?
You're
Like,
gonna reach a point to where you have to keep topping yourself for the views. Like, it took
right.
2 years for me to do a rematch with Executioner for Bloodthirsty. Like, that
Okay.
was regarded as a really extreme bloody match, and it
Mm-hmm.
took us 2 years to do it again. And in the rematch, we didn't even want to do as much blood as was in the original. Because A, YouTube would shut us
Okay.
down, and B, because we don't need the blood and the brutality to do a great match. I don't know if you know the
Right.
Chosen one, but he gave it 5 stars. I mean, he rates a lot of matches, and he gave it 5 stars, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with him. And there was rarely any blood.
Right. Because in my opinion, like you don't need like chairs or like blood to have a great match. All you need is like wrestling. You know.
Exactly.
Sure, you might use it, but like that you could. It only helps a bit to tell the story. The truth telling the story is between you
Right.
guys.
Weapons are used could be used as a tool to tell your story greater. Like, let me
Right. Like that's the word I was looking for.
exactly, a tool. It's a
Tool.
tool and it's a resource. Now I'll write a story right here, right now, on the spot. Ready? There's two guys. These two guys were best friends. Then the one guy got jealous of the other guy because he was more successful and he was on everybody's podcast instead of the other guy. So then
Okay.
this guy hits him in the head with a barbed wire chair, right? And busts him open and he's bleeding
All right.
everywhere. And the guy shows the camera this guy bleeding and he says, "We were friends, but you took advantage of me and you're more successful than me, but really I'm the one that got you famous." Boom. Then next week, you don't need blood because you already have that visual. So this story is intense because the guy was so angry and so frustrated that he used a barbed wire chair to hit this other guy and assault
Mm-hmm.
this other guy. So that puts the story on another level. But it only took one barbed wire chair shot. You understand?
Yeah, like to start the feud. If that makes
Exactly, to
sense.
kick it off. Now, obviously, since you used a barbed wire chair, the match that you do to pay off this story will probably have to be an Extreme Rules match, but that match can come two
Mm-hmm.
matches down the road. You can start off with a regular match, then the guy cheats by doing a low blow at the end of that. Then you can go to another match, and this match is I don't know, no uh uh false count.
No hold
No, no,
barred
no. We're
match.
not getting there yet. It would be like
Oh,
like
okay,
a
okay,
special
okay.
guest referee where the one friend is the ref and this guy has
Mm-hmm.
beef with another guy, and then the ref costs him that
Right.
match. Then for the third match of the storyline, You're like, hey, you busted me open months ago with a barbed wire chair. You low blowed me in our first match. Then you cost me a match by being the special guest referee. I want a death match with you. And there it makes sense to do it because
Right.
the storyline calls for that type of match. You don't just go out there and do a death match because you want. I don't understand why people just do death matches. I just don't.
Like you have to build
You
it up.
have to build it up. You can't just say, okay, tonight on Friday Night Fury, we're going to have a death match just because we fucking feel like it.
Exactly. Like it has to make sense. You can't just have it for no
Yeah,
reason.
we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And how about that? I just wrote that story right there on the spot.
Right. Trademark.
How about that?
Right. Because like I feel you and I like would be good bookers.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, that was a good story. Like that is the correct way of telling a story in wrestling.
Right, you got to tell it in a sequential order. You can't start off a story with a no holds barred match and end with a singles match. It would make no sense. You can start off with the barbed wire chair shot, foreshadowing 2 months in the future to where you have a death match. That's great storytelling.
Right.
It's foreshadowing. You give the fans a taste and you have them hooked. That's your hooker, not a prostitute, but a grabber.
No, like a hook.
I know, I'm
Right.
just joking. And then you
I
have
get
them
you.
invested in your story, and then oh shit, 2 months later, you can use the clip of the barbed wire chair shot, and the guy that got hit with the chair is like, you took blood from me, now I want blood from you. Death match. And then maybe the guy who got hit with the barbed wire chair can enter with a barbed wire chair.
Right.
It's just great storytelling, and people need to learn that on YouTube. I hope people actually listen to this podcast and take that from this.
I'm sure they will because one, like Beyond the Yard is spreading and it's getting really big. I hope your podcast goes as well. And plus, Maximus Roman is in Beyond the Yard, so I'm sure they will hear this.
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't know if you're down for this, but if you want this to reach more viewers, I'll be down to post this as well.
Yeah, that would be pretty fucking badass.
Not to steal your spotlight or whatever, but I feel like that we're having such a great talk about YouTube wrestling that I'm down to put this out there also so that we can get the most amount of viewers.
Exactly, and like help both of our podcasts
grow. Yeah,
because like we want YouTube wrestling to like spread and continue our legacy.
Exactly. I don't want it to die off when I leave or when you leave or when Matt Thunder leaves.
Because we want to leave like something to like the new YouTube wrestlers.
Exactly.
Tell like for example, because I want to have kids when I'm older. I want to tell my kids that we were the YouTube wrestlers.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right.
But hey, guys like Kenny Omega and Seth Rollins started on Backyard Wrestling, except they didn't have the platform of YouTube. They just video cammed it and
VHS.
Yeah, they made it like on a tape, and that's how they watch it. But no, ours is on the internet, and it can remain on the internet for 10 years down the line. Like KBW videos from 2010 are still up. Right. So what we're doing will have a lasting impact. Right, because YouTube wrestling will always be strong, especially with the community still being alive. Exactly, and you could be like an old band, like Tool, for example. They didn't release music for like 10 years, and then they just released their Fear Inoculated album, and now that's their top rated song, but yet they're a band from the 90s, and yet they had their best song in 2019. Like, that's awesome. My point being, your channel could not be successful now, and then you stop in 2 years, but then 10 years down the road, people find your videos and they're like, wow, look at this stuff from back then. This is great. And then you get popular. Because that's how it works. Because, yeah, your stuff remains on YouTube. Nobody's going to delete it unless YouTube hates you like they hate EBW, but that's a different story for a different time. They're probably jealous or something. Yeah, because, like, I just wish I could have seen the old EBW, like, because, like you said, like, there was, like, some good content, you said. Oh, yeah, and it's funny because it's so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
like
it could be used as a learning tool. Like I've been talking about how much I
mhm,
learned about bumping, about how much I learned about storytelling. You could go back and watch
right.
EBW from 2015, and you can watch how we book stories then as opposed to now. But no, YouTube ruined that.
And and plus that was like your childhood, you know? You could see your childhood
Yeah.
again if it was still up.
Yeah, but hey, man, we're growing.
See like the
Right,
memories.
we're growing a
Right.
big library right now. So I mean, by the time I get off of YouTube, we'll have a big library just like how we did before it was deleted, and I can look back on my childhood that
Right.
way.
We are evolving, if that's the proper way of saying it.
Right.
What would you say was the your best? I think we already talked about it because I was gonna say what was the best match you ever had. Would you say Matt Thunder versus Maximus Roman?
Yeah, it has to be because that's the only match I actually cried after.
Right.
Legitimately, if you go back and watch, I had tears of joy at the end when they lifted us up
Uh huh.
on their shoulders and they were saying all that stuff about our match. Like that was the only time I ever had an experienced that kind of emotion from a wrestling match.
Right. Because sure, it's wrestling, but like you and Matt like had a moment, especially in the yards. I'm sure
Yeah, and
everybody
I'm
had
happy. I'm
in
happy the
there.
fans voted that match the match of the year 2019.
That match deserved to be match of the year.
Thank you. I hope
Right.
I.
I remember watching it. I was like on my feet the entire time. I was like, holy
That's
shit, you
exactly
know?
what I love to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. Like I know, like I'm not trying to be a kiss ass or anything, but like I'm just like a huge fan of your work.
Thank you. I love to hear that kind of stuff because I
Right.
especially like talking to you actually and not just over the YouTube comments where the response would just be
Mm-hmm.
thank you, appreciate it a lot. Like having an actual conversation is just good to have.
Right. Because like, sure, in the yards I'm gonna be like a dick, but like out of the yard, like I'm like I'm a huge fan and all that, especially to the wrestling. Because like I'm just glad I'm part of this community.
Well, yeah, thank you. And I'm trying to make a community, if anything, because I feel like this
Right.
community is so spread and
Mm-hmm.
it's in so many different parts that it's I don't know, it's just weird. For the longest time I wanted to break into the community because I felt like EBW was on the outside. But
Right.
like
And like don't
they think
okay.
that the community is VTW and Best in the Yard and wherever Victor Van Pelt is with those guys like Cage and Cameron Jackson and Big Time Mike. But I couldn't even find a way to get into that community. And I don't even, to be honest, I don't even understand how they are the community because they don't even have a platform like MEBW or EBW where we get at least 2,000 views every single week.
Exactly.
We have constant viewership as opposed to their 100 views in 3 months. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. I don't know, man. The community where I'm trying to grow the community and make it so
Mm-hmm.
everybody is getting these views and not just a monopoly of MEBW and EBW, if that makes any sense to you.
Exactly. Because like a lot of people say that MABW and ABW are like the top backyard federation. Don't get me wrong. Like you guys are good, but like there's also other like federations that are trying their
Right.
best.
Don't get me wrong, but I think we are. And I think we can be a precedent to people to get on our bandwagon. No, not to get on our bandwagon. That's a bad way of putting it. Get on the
Okay.
grind like we are. Do you realize how much work we put into it? We film almost 3 times a week so that we can have content for the next 3 weeks, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah, so
understand
you can't
because you want to keep it alive.
exactly. So I don't want to sound like an asshole because I'm trying not to, but you can't post 1 time a month and then question EBW and say, why are we not as famous as EBW? Why are we not as famous as MEBW? My wrestling is just as good. It may be, and I will gladly watch, but don't criticize us for your wrestling once every other month. We wrestle every week. Do you imagine what that does to your body?
Right.
So, if anything, use us as an example. Grind like us, do what we do, but do it your own way. Get famous for your way. EBW's
Right.
Friday Night
Cause
Fury's theme song is "My Way" by uh, Limp Bizkit, and that's
Right, from WrestleMania
That's
17. Uh-huh.
beautiful because we did it our own way. We do Friday Night Fury. Nobody else
Exactly.
does Friday Night Fury. We post every Friday night. We have these EBW shows that nobody else can do but us. So you do it your way, I'll do it my way. My way or the fucking highway.
Exactly. It's just like I kind of understand like not a lot of people could like post like every single week. Like sure they could like post like once or twice a week or something like that. Like they would try their best. Like it could depend on their thing, but like you can't just be uploading like once a month, just like you said
I
earlier,
under
and like say, well, how come we're not the
Right. I
best?
understand what you're saying, but a lot of people can't do weekly. I totally respect that and I
Exactly.
totally understand that because I was once at the point where we could not all get on the same page and post weekly. But hey, if you can't, then here's what I recommend. Get your guys together and post and film 3 weeks worth of content in the one sitting. I never thought about this until recently. Back in 2015, I would have never thought about doing this. We used to
Mm-hmm.
film on Fridays and post on Fridays. Terrible idea. You can film it, film
Right.
3 weeks of stuff, and then you have 3 weeks of stuff, and then in 3 weeks when you can meet again, film again because then you have consistent stuff for the next 3 weeks after that, and boom, you have 6 weeks of stuff right there.
Exactly. And like you don't have to like edit like all night trying to upload it on Friday. Like you can't be like, oh my god, I have to like upload it. And like if there's a time limit and like you might not have upload in time, it kind of ruins the process because like there might be like some detail you miss, like a nameplate or something.
Exactly. It's YouTube wrestling, dude. There's no excuses.
Oh
There's
my bad.
no excuses. You can literally post a video, hit the scheduled button, and you can schedule it for any day you want at any time you want.
Right.
There's no excuses.
Right. Uh-huh.
So,
All right, Matt. Oh, sorry, Matt. Max, what would you say was your favorite spot in any match you ever
my
had?
favorite spot?
Yeah.
Hmm, that's a
Like any spot you have taken.
that's a good question. Um, I keep going back to the flip off the fence that I just did
Mm-hmm.
at Bloodthirsty.
Right.
Um, I don't know, because I just always envisioned doing a flip off of a fence onto a table like that.
Uh-huh.
And the way it looks in slow motion looks awesome. And the way I edit it in the highlights when the bass drops in the song sounds awesome. So I can't get that out of my head.
Okay.
I guess because it's so recent. But yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing a blank. So that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Would you say that was like one of the extreme moments you ever did in the yards?
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of a psychopath, and I feel like I could do a lot more than that. Like I feel like that flip,
Yeah.
I wasn't in enough pain to
Mm-hmm.
for it to resonate with me. Like I feel like I could take that bump in every single match,
Oh,
which
okay.
I guess could sound crazy because not many
Mm-hmm.
guys want to do a flip off of a fence. Like and literally, I didn't just
Right.
like jump off of and I actually jumped in the air. I jumped
Connected.
in the air, then did it. But I guess because I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I feel like I could do more. Like I'm always pushing myself to be
Right.
better. So I feel like the spot that really defines me has yet to happen.
Right. Like it's good to try new things if you
Right,
haven't
like I
done it.
just tried a 450. Well, I did a
Right.
450 in MEBW, but that was using a trampoline. Let me tell you, using a trampoline and using what I used,
The
yeah,
ground.
is very different. So,
Right.
yeah.
Like it's a different way of telling the
And then
story.
taking the 450 on the ground as opposed to taking it on a trampoline is way different.
Of course. Did you guys start it in the yards or like how did that go? Like did you guys not think of using a trampoline?
Well, we just never had a trampoline, so.
Mm.
Plus, after wrestling on a trampoline, I don't ever want to wrestle on a trampoline.
It just doesn't feel
It's
right.
it's totally ass backwards to me
Right.
at least. I'm not saying that other guys
Okay.
can't wrestle on a trampoline. It's just for me, the things that I do, like I wrestle. I've been watching wrestling, right? I already told you this for a decade plus. So
Right.
I watch the way that the wrestlers do it. And if you ever watch Randy Orton or The Rock or any wrestler, you can tell that they stomp when they kick or they stomp when they punch, right?
Exactly.
So naturally, Maximus Roman stomps when he kicks, and Maximus Roman stomps when he punches. So when Maximus Roman tries to
Uh-huh.
stomp on the trampoline when he does a punch, he winds up in the air.
It just looks fucking
No,
terrible.
he winds up in the air, and then he
Okay.
winds up accidentally jumping on his opponent, and it looks like garbage. So for me, wrestling on the
Right.
trampoline doesn't work because I'm conditioned to wrestle in a ring, even though I've never stepped. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
have stepped foot in a ring, but I've never done a match in a ring. So just wait for the
Mm-hmm.
day when Maximus Roman has a match in the ring because that'll be a day to behold.
Excuse me. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, like with our ring, like funny story, we actually have mattresses under it. So one, like it could be like I would say sturdy as a ring. So like there wouldn't be like you can't bounce at all. Like it's hard. And sure, it might have a bit like cushioning, but like I would say it's like uh the 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 best homemade version of a backyard wrestling ring or something
No,
like
I
that.
understand.
Because like some people like they have like done some things to the trampoline. Like have you ever seen like some have put in wood under it with tires or something
Yeah.
like that? So I mean we tried our best to make our homemade ring.
Yeah, and props to you.
Right. All right, Max. This is a hypothetical match. A hypothetical question.
All right, I'm following.
Would you ever love to have Maximus Roman versus Derrick Destroyer in a match
I'm
in the
willing
future, if
I'm
it's
willing to fight
possible?
anybody, dude. If you're willing to come, I'm willing to kick your ass.
We'll see about that. Sure, I might get my ass kicked, but I'm gonna take some
Yeah, you'll
beating.
take the beating and then you'll feel it in the next day and then you'll be like, "Why did I ever want to fight Maximus Roman?" Nah, but it'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Right. It would be a good match because like we're both like huge wrestling fans, and like I'm sure the fans would love to see that
Yeah, that's what
match.
Matt Thunder said, and then I chopped him.
Uh huh. Like I'm willing to get my like I'm willing to take my body to hell. Like sure I might have a bad childhood, like I might have taken a lot of spanking and all that, but like now my dumb ass, if I could survive like going through dumb tags and all that, I'm sure I could survive
Yeah.
you. If I could survive Jake Frost and Luke Hayes, I'm sure I could survive with
Yeah,
you.
but keep this in mind. Nobody's like Maximus Roman. Nobody will ever be like Maximus Roman.
Exactly. There's only
I
one.
come in a small package, but in the small package are fireworks, and these fireworks go off and they're dangerous.
Right. Just like my ex.
That's a good joke, yeah.
Right. I just don't want to mention her because I don't want to. How do you say? I don't want her boyfriend to have problems with me
I'll Max
again.
Factor him for you.
Right. That would be actually pretty funny to see that
Through a
happening.
table.
Right. But you know what? Actually, be pretty cool.
What?
If this could actually happen, if they made a documentary of YouTube wrestling.
Yeah, because they have a documentary of backyard wrestling, so a documentary of YouTube wrestling should be a thing. Because
Right. Like.
let me tell you, I have some stories about how uploading has failed on me, about how I had to change
Mm-hmm.
dates for our shows to go live on YouTube because of certain guys not being able to show up, because of especially with this whole quarantine stuff. I got some stories to tell about how shows have been changed and booked differently. YouTube
Exactly.
wrestling is different than backyard wrestling, whether you like it or not. I want somebody to try and debate me with this because I'm a great debater. You can't tell me otherwise.
I would love to see
You
that happening.
get somebody and get me on this podcast again. I'll shut them down. Because
All right. Maybe that's a good idea for next episode.
you find me a guy and
Maybe I
I'll
could
shut
book
him
it.
down. But
Will do.
yeah, but a documentary on YouTube wrestling would be amazing because I would love to hear other stories about how other guys have had troubles with YouTube themselves. Like EBW would be great to have on there because our whole entire catalog of videos has been deleted. We've started from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be a different take of a documentary than just, oh, this guy was crazy because he did a swanton off of a house. You know, it would be
Okay.
more of
Right.
The inner workings of how we upload the videos, how we edit the videos, how different feds have different ways of editing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it would be really cool.
Right. Like I feel like ACW, our channel would fit in, right? Because like when we started, like we weren't good, okay, like but we just did it for fun and all. But there was one point where like I don't know what happened, like we just forgot our password of our channel, and we're just planning to give
Yes,
up and not
yes,
do it
yes.
again.
I can relate. I can relate.
Then like there was once like I don't know what happened, like I was really depressed because like wrestling, like I met with these people, I had fun time spending time with them and all that. But when we found the password again, like it brought our childhood, our friendship back together, and we continue it. And look how it is right now.
Dude, get somebody, whether it's yourself or whether it's me, but there should be a documentary
Mm-hmm.
made. It would be really awesome to look back at. This is
Right,
like a special time in YouTube wrestling.
right. This would be like a great thing to happen, especially in YouTube
Well, hey,
wrestling. Hopefully, it could happen.
and you know how to make documentaries and you want interviews, I'm down. Derrick the Destroyer's down. I can get
Hell
anybody
yeah,
else you want down. Let's do it.
let's make it happen. Let's make YouTube wrestling happen.
Yes.
Just imagine if let's say the documentary of YouTube wrestling happens, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine watching it in 30 years in the future.
That's what I would love to do,
Just think
dude.
of the people, right?
Hey, yeah,
Because all, what were you gonna
it's
say?
just it is a great idea because it's like capturing a moment in history.
Right. Sure, we might not be like the professionals, but like we are like some of the wrestlers, you know? Like we are wrestlers.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say, Max, before we end the show?
Yeah. So people who I don't really do things like this. This is kind of new for me to talk like out of character and everything, but because I'm a strong believer in
Okay.
kayfabe. But if there's anything to know about me, I'm not truly the asshole that I portray on EBW. Like I'm sure I'm full of myself, and I'm sure that came across in this podcast. But I'm a cool guy to talk to. So you can leave your comments. I'll answer them on this video. Hopefully I can post this on the Maximus Roman channel also. I'll answer there. I'll answer on
Right.
Derrick's channel. Um, yeah. So
And don't forget to check out his podcast. I mean, like, sure, he might be new, but like, I'm sure he's going to have like great episodes on it.
yeah, I have a lot of guys that want to do it, and they all have tremendous stories.
Right.
So
You know what, Max? I thought when you were gonna be on the show, I thought we were gonna have some beef, but no, you are really like the coolest person I ever interviewed with. No offense, Matt Thunder, but you are actually a pretty cool dude.
no, I don't know. I'm weird. I'm
Okay.
confrontational, right? But I'm
Okay.
I'm the definition of a Gemini. I'm two personalities in one. If if the bell rings, then I'm gonna rip your face off. But if we're just sitting down and I'm just sitting on the couch talking, it's cool. We've been talking for an hour and a half, and it's been a real cool talk, man.
Right. Like I'm sure like I could relate with you because like I kind of have like a split personality. Like I'm me outside of the yard, but when I'm in the yards, I'm Derrick. That's why I involve
Right.
Derrick. Because like,
Well, that
mm-hmm.
reminds me.
But anyways,
One more thing before we go. Um,
okay.
as you can see, Derrick just said it. I'm a cooler person in real life, so don't go and slander me saying that Maximus Roman is a spotlight hog and he likes to have EBW in the spotlight over anybody else. And don't think that I'm trying to monopolize YouTube wrestling because I want this to be a thing for everybody. I want this to be a shared community, as it's becoming, as this podcast is a testament to. Me and Derrick are cool. There's no beef, just like he just said. He said it himself, right?
Right. Yeah, like sure we might be dicks in the yard, but like outside of it, like we are like good people.
Right. So don't think that I am trying to make EBW front and center. I want this to be an equal effort because we're all on YouTube, and this is YouTube wrestling / backyard wrestling, whatever you want to call it. So let's do this together.
Right.
Just contact me on social medias now that I got them, and we can do a podcast. We can do a collab. I can surely find you a spot on EBW. Hey, Derrick, I can find you a spot on EBW if you so pleased.
Oh yes! Woohoo!
See,
That's always been a dream because like when I first started watching MEBW, like I was a huge fan. Like I wish like I looked at my mirror one time and I was cutting promo and I was like, oh, someday I could be on MEBW and look at this. I'm having to talk with Maximus Roman and he even offered me to MEBW.
Yeah,
EBW, my bad.
I can't
But
offer you to
yeah, like I would
MEBW.
love to make that happen. Right, like oh my god, you won't believe how fast my heart is beating. It's going like what 100 miles per hour or something like that.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
damn, like I appreciate it.
I
Thank
know
you.
there's a distance between us, but this quarantine,
I
this
can make that
quarantine
happen.
is a show of what we can do with these video talks or these calls. You can interview my guys, and we could put it on Friday Night Fury. You could be the Renee Young of EBW, or Jim Ross, or
Well,
Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone, that's
right,
better than Renee Young.
right. I love JR. He is like the voice of
Yeah, well,
wrestling.
you can, yeah, listening to you on this podcast, you're good at questions, man. So you got a spot.
Right. You could say, yeah. I just want to say thank you. Like, I just can't wait to make that happen. Because my original plan, I'm sorry if I'm not supposed to say this, but I was supposed to go to MEBW this summer, but like, you know, you may never
Yeah, you
know.
can come here. I don't give a shit. But rather than traveling, we can do weekly stuff with you interviewing guys.
Right. I would love to have that happen. Then probably in an episode of Friday Night.
Friday Night
What
Fury.
was it? Do you guys have? Yeah, Friday Night Fury. Like just you seen that episode of SmackDown where like John Cena was cutting a promo to Dean Ambrose, also known as John Moxley, where like John Cena goes like, you know what? I'm glad that Stone Cold Steve Austin called you out in his podcast. You know,
Jeez.
like it would be cool if you could make a reference to that. You
Yeah,
know,
we can do a lot of things, dude. We'll be talking.
right? Well, I guess that's it. It would be cool if on your Death or Silent, because you're still working on it,
I
right?
am writing. Yes.
Okay, it would be cool if you could make like I want to say cameo, but like yeah, cameo reference to like other like federations. You know, like a small detail about it. It kind of makes sense.
That is worked into it.
Like
Yes, but it's you got to think about it this way, man. The death of silence is very subliminal messages. Like conspiracy theorists would love it because there's every single
right,
thing to look into. Everything has a double meaning. So when we say there's other guys that would love to be a part of this, or there's other guys that think the same way that we do. There's other guys that have been harmed just like we do. Yes, that could be a part of the
mm-hmm,
movie as people in the movie have been harmed, but it also can be guys like backyard wrestlers
mm-hmm.
who are harmed on a weekly basis. So
Okay.
that's the extent of it.
Well, yeah, I just thought it was a cool idea.
It's
Yeah.
incorporated, but you just have to read into it. All right, this was cool
And I
talking
would
to you.
love to shake your hand, but you know, unfortunately, one, we can't touch each other, giggity. But two, okay,
Here you go.
all
Here's a
right, duck it.
virtual
There you go. That was a
elbow
chop.
bub or
I
whatever
was
the fuck
kidding.
they're calling that.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Maximus
There
Roman.
it was.
I hope someday I could be in your podcast soon. And thank you, Backyard Wrestling community or the YouTube community for listening to this podcast with Maximus Roman.
Thank
All
you
right.
for having me.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much. This
listening
is
to
a
this,
good
the
thing to
longest
do.
episode we have ever had in Beyond the Yard. But I'm sure we might have longer episodes besides just this. But anyways, thank you, Beyond the Yard, folks.